cafe windows were wide open to the daylight, sunlight spilling across wooden tables like mercy. When she said the sentence that had followed her all her life in quieter rooms and louder judgments, it was the kind of truth that lands heavy because it has been rehearsed in loneliness for years, the kind that sounds like a surrender before the battle even begins. In that moment, with steam rising from untouched coffee cups and morning traffic humming outside, her belief felt final, as if the world had already decided her ending before she ever got a chance to begin. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that heal the parts of us we hide, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Midnight Tales. Your support keeps these stories alive and reaching hearts that need them. Her name was Ariba Khan, and she had learned early how to make herself smaller in rooms that already felt too tight. Not physically, because that was impossible, but emotionally. She laughed before others could laugh at her. She apologized for taking space, for ordering dessert, for existing loudly. Growing up, she was the girl who heard whispers during school assemblies and saw pity in wedding invitations that never came. By the time she reached her late 20s, the world had trained her well. Love was not written for bodies like hers, and marriage was something other women earned by being lighter, quieter, easier to look at. So when her aunt insisted on a blind date, Ariba dressed carefully in soft colors, choosing comfort over illusion, already prepared for the familiar disappointment of polite smiles and unreturned calls. Across from her sat Zavian Malik, a man whose life looked nothing like hers from the outside. He ran a fast-growing technology firm, lived in glass and steel, and had mastered the art of being admired without being known. His mornings were filled with meetings, forecasts, and numbers that rose obediently when he demanded. Yet something in him had grown hollow over the years. Applause faded quickly when it followed you everywhere. Compliments felt scripted. People loved what he represented, not who he was when the office lights shut off and the day slowed down. He had agreed to the blind date not out of hope, but out of exhaustion from the same kind of emptiness repeating itself. The cafe was alive with daytime warmth, sunlit leaves brushed the windows, and laughter from nearby tables rose and fell like waves. Ariba spoke openly, almost too openly, because she had nothing left to protect. Her life had been a series of almosts, almost confident, almost loved, almost chosen. She talked about working at a public library, about helping children find books that made them feel less alone, about how stories had saved her long before people ever did. Beneath her calm voice lived years of rejection, of being told indirectly and directly that love was a reward she had failed to earn. Xavian listened in a way that surprised even him. He wasn't waiting for his turn to impress. He wasn't scanning her for flaws or calculating how the evening would end. He noticed how her eyes softened when she spoke about small joys, how her hands moved when she described moments that mattered. There was a grounded honesty in her that felt rare, like fresh air in a room he hadn't realized was suffocating him. When she shared her belief about her future, the one shaped by cruel assumptions and repeated dismissals, it didn't sound dramatic. It sounded tired. And that was what changed something in him. After that day, they didn't rush. Their connection grew in daylight spaces, over morning walks and sunlit lunches, in bookstores and parks where children played and life felt unscripted. Ariba struggled with the fear that this was temporary, that once reality settled in, he would see her the way others always had. Every compliment felt suspicious. Every plan felt fragile. Years of being overlooked had carved doubt deep into her bones. Meanwhile, Xavian faced his own storm. His world questioned everything. Colleagues joked, investors raised eyebrows, and acquaintances offered advice disguised as concern. They reminded him of optics, of expectations, of how certain choices didn't align with the image he was supposed to protect. Yet something remarkable happened in the face of all that noise. Xavier began choosing differently. Not loudly, not for applause, but consistently. He showed up. He listened. He defended her presence without turning her into a cause. Ariba, slowly and painfully, began to unlearn the lie that love had conditions tied to her body. She started standing taller, not because she changed, but because she was finally seen without apology. The world didn't suddenly become kind, but it became less powerful over her heart. The turning point came on a bright afternoon during a community reading event at the library. Children sat cross-legged on the floor, sunlight dancing through high windows, as Ariba read aloud with a voice full of warmth and confidence. Xavier watched from the back, seeing not the woman others tried to minimize, but the one who expanded every room she entered. In that moment, clarity arrived quietly. This was partnership. This was home. Not perfection, not fantasy, but truth chosen daily. Their commitment wasn't announced with grand gestures. It was revealed in simple decisions, shared routines, and a future built openly in the light of day. When they eventually stood together before friends and family, there were still whispers. But there was also something stronger. There was proof. Proof that love does not follow rules written by shallow eyes. Proof that worth is not measured by size, status, or approval. Proof that the stories we inherit can be rewritten by courage. Just before the ending, take a moment and comment what part of this story stayed with you the most. Your words matter more than you think. Ariba's smile that day was not the kind that seeks validation. It was the smile of someone who had survived being unseen and found love without becoming someone else. Xavier's hand in hers was steady, not possessive, but proud. Together, they didn't prove the world wrong with arguments or revenge. They did it by living well, by loving honestly, and by refusing to shrink for anyone again. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of your own quiet battles or gave you hope for a kinder ending, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most and keeps the light on for every heart still waiting to be chosen.